Armada Book 1 Chapter 11 The Hidden Planets Part 2. The next day Vicky left for planet Los Angeles. A day before Andrew leaves for the Hidden Planets he had a meeting with Roden where he discussed his plans to deploy the new and recycled Mac hop ships for the projected line. He also discussed the reports on the Hidden Planets and his plans to contact them. Roden told him to use Gantley and his ships as backup when they were replaced from the hop lines by the Mac hop ships. Roden left for the Inky Galaxy right after their meeting using the hop lines. Andrew pulled 15 ships from the hop lines and told them to meet him at the coordinates Olive gave behind the rock belt near the Hidden Planets. 2 of them were already replaced by Tony's hop ships and they waited for all of them to be replaced before regrouping to join Andrew's ship. Gantley waited for the hop ships to replace them before they regrouped to go as backup for Andrew's Armada. His 4 ships and his large new ship flew from the Mac capital planet and arrived at the coordinates in 4 days. This planet is most likely to be the main planet for this life form since the facilities and infrastructure are most extensive here. Ellie ran a deep scan of the planet and revealed that they have extensive network of tunnels 10 miles underneath the surface, which is very deep. Their primary mode of transport are their transporter posts for high volume or industrial and rings for individuals and small groups. The tunnels can hold 3 times the population on the surface. I also found 8,822 large chambers with what look like lifeless clones in gel-filled containers. The others are in solid filling probably for storage for longer periods. The lifeless clones number more than 30 million. They have excessive power supply underground and countless more rooms for clones. Olive said. Ellie appeared in Andrew's bridge. I heard Olive's report and my scan of the second planet reveal similar underground chambers 10 miles down holding millions of lifeless clones. I also saw several dozen labs where the clones are being reproduced. What surprised me is that they do not have long-range interstellar ships. The interplanetary ones that they have they don't really use but not long-range ones. Their defense positions are very limited and a direct attack will overwhelm them. Gadden, Roger and Eric appeared all dressed up to go down. I believe I have identified the chambers for their leaders on the main planet and they are in fact having a meeting right now. Roger said. Good, Olive, have you studied their language? Andrew asked. Yes, I can talk their language. So let's meet them at their meeting. GX1 appeared in the chamber of the planet leaders. Greetings, we come in peace. Olive said, speaking their language. We are humans from a planet we call Earth and we come in peace. Olive continued. The alien leader spoke in English. You are a hologram named Olive, his name is Gadden and he is a Maquis, your leader is Andrew and his members are Ellie and Eric. We are honored to meet you. Glad and honored to meet you too, but I did not catch your name. Andrew said. My name is Borin, we call our race the Norsets and I am the leader of this facility and this is my assistant Janan. Borin stood and pointed to the council members and introduced each while mentioning their names. You have been observing us for quite a while now and we can see that you have 5 ships in orbit even if they are cloaked. You have scanned our facilities in 3 planets and wanted to meet us and see what we are doing and maybe establish relations. Janan said. Andrew whispered, Olive, they are really advanced. Not as advanced as you in some ways. I believe we can trust you because we have studied the Maquis for some time. In fact, we were able to plug into their collective thought for the first time more than 100 years ago and discovered so much about the galaxies. We have gone in intermittently after that. So in a way they taught us some of what we know. The Macs, as you call them, are the most peaceful species we have encountered in the galaxies. So we know you come in peace. Our recent tap into your ships revealed recent events. And we know about the humans and Inky adventures that have caused much celebration among the Macs. We are in fact amazed at what you have done. Borin said. You hacked into our ships without our knowing about it? Ellie asked. Well, we are good at this. This is what we do. Janan said. I hope you will not be as demanding as an Inky I know. Andrew said. We are more straightforward. But we also have some sense of humor and we will be benevolent in our praise until it hurts you, Andrew. Borin said. Andrew and the team laughed. Okay, that broke the ice. Roger said. We would like to know what you are doing in this part of the woods. You do not seem to have long-range intergalactic ships and you don't even use your ships between planets that much. Ellie said. Okay, we have agreed to tell you. We are our species backup as you may call us. As you already know, we have clones that we transfer our consciousness to when our old bodies die or get unusable. You already know that we have millions of clones underneath the 3 planets. These are our backup bodies so our species can survive. Borin explained. There is a threat to your existence. Roger said. Not at first but in the last 1,000 years or so, a species we call the Morts from a galaxy about 3 BLY from our original galaxies started attacking our planets. We were caught defenseless because we relied on our technology to defend the planets. Some of the planets were simply overwhelmed by their sheer number. They were able to occupy 5 planets. So as a precaution, several hundred mostly transport ships left our galaxies for the farthest reaches of the universe and established colonies like ours to ensure that our kind will survive. Boren said as he showed a hologram of the Morts, and they look like Slanders but more upright and darker and smoother skinned with longer faces. They attack a planet in numbers. Several hundred ships would concentrate on a planet and overwhelm our defense positions. We simply transport ourselves underground until they leave. Boren said. Were you ever attacked here? Ellie asked. Yes, 10 years ago, and we expect them to be back to attack us again. Janan said. How would you know that? Ellie asked. We monitor intergalactic ships' movement up to 600 MLY away, and we see a group of Mort ships, 119 total, moving very fast. They will be here in 3 days. Janan said. Will they be able to see our cloaked ships? Ellie asked. No, they will not. Boren said. Can you give Olive data on their ships and technologies? Andrew asked. Janan, please provide their ships with the Mort ship, arms, and defense technologies. Janan went to a table and waved his hand over. Then the table lighted with several colors. If they have been here before, they now are back with instruments or technologies that can get to your underground facilities. Ellie said. Olive has connected to our data systems. Your ships are both downloading data already. Janan said. We were hoping you can help us deal with them. Boren said. Why would you assume we would help you? Andrew asked. That is what you do. Especially if our species need your help. We have advanced so much we already have lost our military ways. We do not think like you do anymore. We have become too peaceful for our own good. We cannot strategize like you do, and we have developed weapon systems we have a hard time deploying because of the lack of organizational structure among our people to deploy them. Boren said. We have been in this sort of situation before. Just provide us with the information we need to have an upper hand. Roger said. We have finished uploading not only the Mort information but information on some of our technologies that we have a hard time deploying and others that you might need along the way. Janan said. Our data systems are all full. The information is really very large even if we divided it among the ships. Olive said. As long as we get what we need. Andrew said. Let me head them off so I can have our infiltrators and taggers get on board while they are on their way. That way their shields are down and we can do our thing. Roger suggested. Andrew nodded in agreement. You, Gadden and Eric should go and take each of your ships. Just leave me and Ellie here. Make sure you use utmost care in getting in. Don't get aggressive, a quick in and a quick out. Plant the usual ordnances and videos. Take all the taggers from Ellie's and my ship. Right, sir. Eric said. Roger, Gadden and Eric left for their ships. Tell the other ships in the hoplines to get their asses over here ASAP, and that includes Gantley. Andrew said. How many ships do you have? Boren asked. Up to 35 more ships. We can call more but they will not arrive on time. And maybe we won't need them anyway. Ellie said. So your home world has been taken over by the Morts? Andrew asked. 5 planets in 1 galaxy. We inhabit 5 galaxies. It may be hard for you to imagine, but our population is 20 times that of the Morts and we have more advanced technologies. For thousands of years we have ruled the galaxies, preventing wars and keeping the Morts at bay because of our technological advantage. Their ships were slow and their laser weapons are weak. When they developed a better shield system, our ground batteries have become much less effective. Our laser cannons take too much time to damage their ships and we have not improved on our weapons. So in a vicious surprise attack, several planets were overwhelmed mainly by sheer aggression and overwhelming numbers. Those were the saddest days of our existence. Not only were the population killed, they were eaten alive. It seems to the Morts that eating us makes them smarter, but I doubt it. Boren said. Janan continued Boren's explanation. So for the past 1,000 years, we have tried to figure out ways to defend or even overturn the war the Morts created. Unfortunately, we are not that smart. So we became defensive and created backup colonies so our species will not die. So the war the Morts started was because they want to eat you? Ellie asked. It was also a war of conquest and to acquire technologies to further their conquests. Our species will rather die than give out our technology. Boren said. One saving grace was that our top science teams were able to create consciousness receptacles or traps and buried them all over the place in those occupied planets. These traps capture the consciousness of the dying or about to die Norsets and simply stay underneath the earth unnoticed until we find them. Janan said. Boren looked at Ellie. Ellie, you're a scientist, would you like to see our cloning process? You can bring your hologram along. Janan can give you a tour and you can also look at how we transfer our consciousness. I will take Andrew above ground and show him our facilities and defense structures. I would be happy to do so. Janan, shall we? Janan left with Ellie through the door. Andrew and Borin were beamed above ground onto a square. They started walking towards a one-story building. Borin, this is our city center. We have schools in that building where we transfer bodies of knowledge to the younger generations. Let's walk towards this street. How long does the transfer get? Andrew asked. A body of technology or information are transferred in a few minutes, but they discuss their implications on our species, society, and relationships for several days or even weeks. Then the process is repeated for the other bodies of knowledge, and there are thousands. You see, we believe that technology is but a means to better our relationships to each other. Technology should not be a cause of inequality and injustice. Technology should not be used for personal gain and cause pain to others. We are brought up and live in a very egalitarian society, and each of us matter as the whole would matter. Any sign or apparent sign of inequality is immediately dealt with and discussed. Crime is unheard of. Borin said. I guess if you can live indefinitely, there should be no cause for attempting momentary gain or pleasure because you have all the time in the world. Andrew said. Borin agreed, exactly. Take your species, originally you can live only up to 100 years on average. So a person looks at life and sees it's short, so he will live and try to be happy aggressively because he only has around 70 years to do it. This changes when you have 700 years to do it. You simply run out of things that make you happy. So you get creative and find happiness even in the most mundane things like planting crops for food or fishing. Now you expect humans to live anywhere from 800 to 1,000 years. So how do you think a normal human should spend that time? The Mac sequester 100 years from their citizens in exchange for a lifetime of benefits. Andrew said. Our society imposes 150 years of service after the last child is born. Some planets, the newer ones, impose 200 years of service. Some of us have up to 3 offsprings, and this could take us up to 250 years. So by the time we are 350 to 450 of your Earth years, we are done with our obligation to our society and do whatever we like. Since our society is extremely rich because of the accumulation of wealth and long-term structures over the thousands of years, and since we do not require much, we get almost everything we need and desire for free from the government. We have an area where we create ships for exploration. But this option is not too popular because people find no need to explore most of the time. You guys can talk telepathically, right? Yes, we do get this ability after more than 500 years, right after the mandatory service. It is something we learn over a period of 80 years on the average. We have a training program tailored for each Norset to become telepathic in this much number of years. I guess you're a cross between a Mac and an Inky. If it helps you to understand, yes, in a way we are, but a lot more different in some areas. You appear calm even a few days before invasion. You should be beefing up your defenses. You are already here to help us. We need not worry because your reputation is actually well known among our people in the 3 planets. No, that's not the way to do things. I want to see all your defenses. Borin asked Olive to beam them to a control room where they monitor the defense guns. These are all our defense structures. We have 120 cannons that can fire 3 laser shots per second. They are not as strong as your plasma cannons, but they are all we have. By the way, our scientists have been studying your plasma cannons and believe that if you use metallic hydrogen encased in an elongated diamond case then encapsulated in plasma, the destructive power would be much greater. Send the specs to Olive and we'll see. We have different capsules within the plasma that we can shoot out. We even have a capsule of a large thermonuclear device and encased in plasma that can be shot out of our standard cannons. Olive, can you contact one of the ships to bring through the HOP network several dozen ground-based plasma cannons that we can deploy around here? What are these HOP networks? Borin, I thought you were smart. A question like that makes you less smart. As I said, you are advanced in many areas more than us. But you can look at us less smart if you feel like it. Andrew explained the HOP project they started more than 3 months ago and how they found out about their hidden planets off the 25th hop towards a Mac planet. Now I am impressed. So you can travel 3 BLY in less than a day through the hops? Yes, we can. We can bring in goods from any of our planets in the human galaxies to the Inky galaxies or the Mac galaxies in a day or vice versa. If you point to us where your galaxies are, we can plot hop points to them from here and you can be there in about a day or maybe 2. Now that is amazing. I guess you also use these hops to deploy military hardware or colonize planets. Precisely. Several dozen plasma cannons will arrive by tomorrow and we can deploy them in a day in time for the Mort's arrival. Now colonization is a different issue with us. Simply put, we do not colonize other societies. Lately the humans, Max and Inkeys have agreed to a set of rules that govern first contacts. So we try to follow them. Like the meeting we have are known to and supported by all parties. If you can offer to us technology to improve our society, then first contact or even assistance is warranted. If you notice, we have very few buildings above ground, even if we prefer the open areas than closed underground areas. If our security is assured, our society would be happier because we can now all live above ground. If the plasma cannons work, then we can rest easy, the Morts will not attempt to attack us again. The idea is to show defensive force, and if the defense is effective it can deter an attack. But this does not happen all the time. In this case, some of their ships may be destroyed, but some would be able to deploy troops on the ground. In the end, there must be force that will overwhelm their aggressiveness. I had an alien commander choose utter destruction rather than the option to leave the battlefield. We continually asked him to leave and his life would be spared. But the commander chose not to, so we destroyed about 100 ships. I hope the Mort commander is not that stupid. I was briefed about that battle and I believe the Morts would be similarly as stupid since they are very aggressive. You must understand that we must value even the lives of your enemies and would rather not be in war and kill them if we can help it. That is what made you a great leader, Andrew. We even tried to change an emperor but were not able to because the psychosis was too severe. We can help you with those issues. We have been researching how to make the Morts less aggressive and we have experienced some success. You can change their mindset? Yes, but in more than 2 months. That's not too fast. I noticed there are not a lot of food around the planet. We eat very little. Our bodies know what it needs, so we eat only what we need. Don't you ever get sick or weak because of not eating? We never get sick. We have a machine that tones up all our body cells and removes imperfections. Sometimes cells are added at the molecular level, but basically we have no illness that need addition of cells. Our bodies may not be athletic and may not play athletic games, but we get along fine and our bodies last for a very long time. Where do you get your food? We have machines that create food for us. We specify the food we need or let the machine scan our bodies for the food it needs and it produces that food in a few minutes. We get it and consume it. That is so boring. Pardon the pun. How else do we eat? We do not want to plant trees and harvest imperfect food. Our food is exactly what we need. Show me. Boren directed Andrew to a building, and near the door of the building was a booth. Andrew stepped into the booth and was scanned from head to toe. Then the machine turned out what looked like an apple. Andrew reached into the small slide window and got the apple. He munched on it and he felt strong all of a sudden. This tastes like a cross between an orange and a cantaloupe. It tastes really well and I seem to feel stronger. All our citizens can just step in and get the food they need and be on their way. On their way to what? Most of us study things like scientists. Some are builders of machines. Some are involved in cloning and some are simply involved in monitoring our defenses. You forgot about those that eavesdrop on the Mac Collective and our ships. We can only get in if one of the machines the Mac used to show other species like Inkeys and humans are opened. When the two major collectives merged, the wealth of information was overwhelming even for us. I believe you should let Olive into your data systems to get information on technologies you built out of our technologies. Did you mean like a patent right on the original idea? Yes, that is only fair. I guess that's fair. But there are not a lot. What we learned are what were happening around the galaxies, not too much on technologies. We did not even know about the hops until you told me about it. We are still studying the technologies that we got. What we guard so much are our cloaking, transport and ship propulsion technologies. We would never allow these technologies out of our hands. So if you have them, you have to agree that you will keep them secret and any improvements on them must be shared with us completely. As I said, it's fair and we believe in what is fair. We will agree to keep the technologies secret. In fact, as restitution, since you will insist, we will share some of our technologies to you under the same conditions. How did you know I will insist? We know how you negotiate things, Andrew. And you must also know I want to get ahead. We would make sure to make you feel ahead with the technologies we will give you. Like what? The food you just ate and our prevention of sickness technologies. I don't feel ahead. There are more, but I do not want to bore you. Let me and the council tour your ship. Okay, you drive a hard bargain. Olive, please. Boren gathered the council at the building square. Then he called Ellie and Janan to come over. Then Olive beamed Andrew and Boren and the council members with Ellie and Janan to the ship bridge. Ellie, they want a tour of the ship. Ellie nodded and directed the guests to the door. Ellie did most of the talking while Andrew and Olive followed from behind with Boren beside Andrew. They ended up in the beautiful reception area and Olive beamed some refreshments beside the fountain in the middle. The council tasted the food and all of them liked the ice cream. So Borin, our ice cream is what drove civilizations to extend their arms towards each other. Andrew said. I must agree with you, Andrew. You don't happen to have some ice cream for us to bring back to our planet, would you? We do in fact want you to take some back, but they will cost you a lot. The council laughed at the comment. This is an impressive ship. Our largest ship ever is less than half this ship. But you don't have intergalactic spaceships anywhere near your planets. Ellie said. We have several buried underground. Some just left us here and went back to our home galaxies. We are basically an independent colony and must survive by ourselves. The next day the plasma cannons started to arrive and the Max and Armada Corps of Engineers set them up in various locations in the planet, finishing the next day. When they left, the Norsets connected the cannons to their defense grids and systems. Then Andrew's people started the training exercises. Meanwhile, Roger, Gadden and Eric arrived and stayed behind the rock belt. They beamed to Andrew's ship and found Ellie and Andrew discussing their meeting with the Norsets. They reported to Andrew that the Morts will be arriving in orbit in 10 hours. They have planted videos and bombs in all the ships and they can beam out most of their armaments. The videos will start sending feeds in 6 hours when they are nearer. They have also tapped into their data systems and downloaded a whole lot of information, including where the home galaxies of Norsets are and their Morts-occupied Norset planets. They were able to get data on how they eat the Norsets and in fact brought some with them when they started, but all the Norset have all been eaten when they infiltrated them. Roger reported that they have tagged all the Morts personnel and key ship equipment, including what looked like Earth boring equipment. Olive, can you tell Borin to beam up here so we can tell him what's up? Andrew said. Gantley arrived with 32 ships and parked near Andrew's ship. He beamed himself to Andrew's bridge. Andrew, I came as fast as I could. Your timing is superb, Gantley. We may be in for a ride. Gantley sees several Norsets beam in front of Andrew. Gantley, these are Norsets. This here is Borin, Janan, and the council members. Yes, you are Gantley, the Prime Marshal of the Inky fleet. We are delighted to meet you. Olive briefed the group on the Morts and what Roger's team has done. He told them that they would all have videos in about 2 hours and they could see what the Morts are up to. Let me get this straight, you already have tagged all of the Morts and all their important equipments and have put bombs in their ships? Borin asked. Roger answered, that is correct. Most of the infiltration work was done by the Max and Inkies. So why did you not just transport them out of their ships and kill them or blow up their ships? Andrew, that's not the way we operate. We want them to have the opportunity to turn back so we can minimize the loss of life. Gantley said. Andrew added, Gantley pointed out the most important rule we have. My thinking is to let the ground batteries destroy some of their ships, then we can warn them to go back and save their lives. We have to let them know that things are different now, that the batteries can destroy their ships even if they are so far from the planet. This way the effect would be more permanent. They go back to their base and warn their commanders that it is not worth it to attack a Norset planet. I don't think the Morts will even consider your warning to them. Borin said. We have been through this road before, so we would really want to prevent the loss of life even of our enemies if we can help it. It may end up the same way as before, but at least we exerted effort to prevent the loss of life. Roger said. We have no problem destroying ships, but sometimes it is not right if you know you can prevent further loss of enemy life and not do it. Gantley said. Janan explained, these are our enemies who treated our people as food. It is very hard for us to understand that you value their lives at all. Look, we will have to warn them and offer them a chance to leave in peace. In all probability they will not accept and we will destroy them. I would have to ask you to follow our lead on this. Make sure the batteries fire as soon as they are in range, concentrate several fire on one target at a time. Then Borin and I will appear before them as holograms and give them an ultimatum, and that's it. Andrew said. Will you be taking in prisoners? Janan asked. If we do, we would probably send a few home so they can tell their leaders of their defeat at the hands of the Norsets. It will be fluid and would depend on General Mann's decision at that moment. Roger said. Borin talked with the council and the council will support your actions and will follow your lead. I guess your reputation carried the day for you. Trust is very important in battle, no matter how lopsided. I will trust my life to Andrew and he trusts his to me. We ask that you trust us. Gantley said. Well said, Gantley. Ellie said. Olive produced several containers of ice cream and Andrew invited all of them to get their cups of ice cream. They sat at the lounge at the bridge and enjoyed their cups of ice cream. We would like to have one of your booths that produce food. Ellie said. Andrew noted, but you don't know what you're getting. It decides what you get. You get only what you need. Borin said. It will never give you ice cream because your bodies will never need ice cream. Roger said. Janan nodded, good point. That's why we never had ice cream. Andrew added, I doubt it if our crew will even use it at all. Maybe they will try it once and that's it. We must be able to enjoy food not just to make us survive. Gantley said. If you get sick the booths will give you food that will cure you. Janan countered. Ellie explained the effect of the TPs to the council. That's amazing and so smart. Your TPs not only transport they also prevent foreign cells or mutated cells from reintegrating with your bodies. Boren said. After a few minutes the council returned to the planet leaving Boren and Janan at Andrew's bridge. Olive announced, videos are coming in. Olive showed several holograms of the bridges of some ships, their earth-boring equipment and their attack ships. Boren and Janan appear in deep anguish and their eyes are seething with anger. They looked at Mortz with slow-moving eyes, quietly. When will the ships be in range? Boren asked. In 3 hours. Olive answered. Boren continued, we will return back here in 3 hours. Boren and Janan beamed to their planet below. They really hate the Mortz. Gantley noted. I would if they eat my kind. Andrew said. I would suggest we do the same thing we did with the Marantais. Let the Norsets destroy some of their ships. Then we blow some but in the end let's hoard them onto 3 or 4 of their ships and escort or tow them back to their home world. What will happen is that we may end up with some ships that we can recycle and deploy as hop ships. Gadden said. Escorting or towing them back may not be practical for US. We should just put them on a planet and leave them without access to leave. Roger said. Andrew agreed, fine, then we blow up only the smaller ships and keep the big ones for the hop network. Olive, which planet can we dump the Mortz? Olive showed a hologram of a planet in the same solar systems next to the Norsets. Olive, how far is this planet from the Norsets? Andrew asked. Just 12 LY away. Boss, you have to understand that after this skirmish we may have to travel all the way to the Norset galaxies and free their planets. Get the consciousness out and deliver them back for their new bodies. Roger said. That would definitely endear us to the Norsets. Gantley added. It's the choices we make now and I think it is the right choice. Andrew said. And which choice is that? Ellie asked. Save the planets and get the consciousness out to their new bodies. Roger said. I think we would need more ships. We also need to get our sabers. We would also need a lot of plasma cannons to deploy in the Norset planets. I will ask Roden for 60 more ships. Gantley said. Good, tell the ships to meet us at Planet Los Angeles. Tell them to get the plasma cannons and the sabers. Tell them that we would be taking in as much troops as we can. Olive, get in touch with General Allen and tell him to send Axel with a team of 2 scout ships to the Norsets. Tell them what they need to do and what we intend to do. And tell Axel to contact me later. Andrew said. I'm hungry. Anyone for a good lunch? Roger asked. Is it lunch? Ellie countered. I'm hungry so it must be lunch, or dinner maybe. Andrew said. After eating they found Boren and Janan at the bridge. The Morts will be here in a few minutes. We would like to witness their destruction. Boren noted. Boren, after this skirmish we may have to go to your home world and get them out of the Norset planets. Andrew said. I am happy to know that. In fact we would like to accompany you. How many of my people can you take? A few thousands, maybe up to 50,000 spread out over more than 100 ships if you're up to it. We will be meeting up with 60 more ships at one of the human planets. That's not a lot but I am more than happy with that number. You will not be sorry you permitted that much number of us. We will work hard and will help you in any way we can. We may have to bring some equipment and supplies with us. You must understand that we are doing this because we wanted to help your species survive. That we believe you are peaceful and may even help us technologically with our missions. Ultimately we may even form an alliance that will last for thousands of years. We already have. Janan concluded. Olive announced, the Morts will be in firing range in 3 minutes. Tell the ships to move closer when the Morts appear nearer. Andrew said. In 3 minutes the batteries from the planets started hitting the Mort ships. They were surprised that the ships blew up easily so the plasma cannons were directed to the next ship then the next. In 5 minutes, half of the Mort's armada, mostly smaller ships, is gone. Andrew ordered the batteries to stop. Boren appeared as a hologram in the bridge of the commander of the Armada and asked him to return to his planet and never come back. As expected he was shot at. He told them that he will blow up 5 ships if they do not retreat. The commander saw 5 of his ships destroyed. He ordered all ships to fire at the planets and launch the ground troops. Olive beamed the occupants of the 3 farthest ships onto the other ships. I want to keep 3 ships intact. All ships and ground batteries commence fire and blow up the ships except for the 3 farthest ships and the 3 empty ships. Andrew said. All of Andrew's ships uncloaked and fired their batteries. In less than a minute all the ships were destroyed except for 3 ships at the back of the Armada and the empty ships. I was expecting that. Roger said. What can I say? It was Andrew's call. Gantley seconded. Thank you, Andrew. The battle lasted less than 10 minutes. Boren said. He could not contain his glee, he was almost jumping up and down. Olive, can we beam to the ships now? I have scanned the ships for traps and self-destruct mechanisms. There are none. Tell the infiltrators to get in and hack into their data systems. I have very good people who understand the Mort's technologies. I can have them beam in with your infiltrators. Boren suggested. Be my guest. Roger said he was expecting this. Janan said. Roger is a strategist and anticipates enemy moves and my moves. Gantley did not seem to be too excited killing the Morts. Boren said. None of us were. Sometimes things happen as if predestined. In a split second you see the writings on the wall and you just react. Roger said. You seem to know each other's moves and thought processes almost as if you telepathically talk to each other. Boren added. As Roger said, you read writings on the wall and you react. Most of us pretty much see the same things. Not only us here but most of our men. Andrew explained. Boren suddenly became quiet and so did Janan. Andrew, the Morts have captured 7 more planets. Millions have died and were eaten. We have to go to our home galaxies as soon as possible. Boren said. We already know that. But you have to understand time is not on our side. We will be in your home galaxies in 3 months. Andrew said. But your ships travel faster than our ships do and we estimate you can be in our home galaxies in 25 days. Yes, but we have to prepare for a longer encounter. We would need more men, more ships and more equipment. We have to pass by planet Los Angeles to get the plasma cannons for your home planets and sabers for our ships. How long would your people take to be in our ships? Andrew asked. They can be ready in 6 days. Boren answered. See, that's too long for us. You have to be ready to leave in 4 days. Andrew said. We will be ready to leave in 4 days. Janan said.